Let me tell you what we're going to do today. We're going to since we're talking about communication, we're also going to send you to breakout rooms, and we hope that you will introduce yourself to the people that are in the breakout room and get to know some people, and maybe you'll be switched around a couple of times, and maybe you'll be able to find somebody that you can talk to or develop a friendship with. And, in the chat room, you can always send them messages. You can pick their name and send them messages and stuff like that. Okay, because we want you all to be able to communicate with each other and help each other throughout this class. And then even when the class does end. Okay?
Okay,
All
Miss
right.
Pat,
Mm-hmm.
before we move on, um, it is a message from Betty. It
Okay.
says, sorry, my phone is acting up, refusing to get off mute.
Okay.
It says that she takes care of herself by escaping to go to do Zumba or and workouts.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good. So, Betty, I commend you on that because my doctor keeps telling me I need to exercise and I need to I keep saying yes and I don't do it, but I feel like that the weight should just melt off of me because that's what I desire. But I need to do some exercise to help it. All right, so that's good. And eating right, exercising, doing things like that helps your mood. Meditation is something that's very good to do. Okay? So, take your time, do some of these things. You can go on YouTube and download a meditation for 1 minute or 2 minutes, and do that. Do that in the morning or even in the evening. And you can get your kids to join you because that also helps to relax them, especially in the evening. Okay? All right, we're going to start the video again. Okay. So every day a little play. Please enjoy yourself. Have fun. Styles of parenting. We talked about dictatorships, limits without freedom, doormat, freedom without limits. And then the active parenting is one who has freedom within limits. Influence, not control. The method of choice, and we saw that. Mutual respect. I have respect for my children, and my children have respect for me. And freedom within expanding limits. Okay? All right. We're going to go to the next one. Okay, cooperation. Two or more people working together in a mutual, supportive manner for a common goal. So if you have a significant other, you do this. Okay? And when you have children, you have to teach your children how to do the same thing because your common goal is to have peace and respect in your home. So we're going to start this video. I don't know if it will. If not, we will go to the alternative way. All right. Hey, yay.
Hey Daniel, how was school today?
Okay.
You seem kind of down. Anything wrong?
Nah, it's okay.
How about some chocolate milk?
Okay. Mom,
Yes, Daniel?
is it ever okay to get into a fight?
Sounds like you had a rough day.
Communicating with our kids is not always easy. We want to find the right words to ease their pain or solve their problems. But if we could make their problems go away, would we really be doing them a favor? After all, life is full of problems, and a large part of success in the 21st century is about learning how to solve those problems, either on our own or by working cooperatively with others. It's funny, in a way, that often it's the problems in life that motivate us to learn and grow stronger. Well, potentially stronger. You see, the difference between successful and unsuccessful families is not the presence or absence of problems. Every family has problems. Successful families, like successful people, learn from their problems and find solutions while others get bogged down in their problems, often making them worse.
Okay. Did it just stop?
Yeah.
It did.
Okay, hold on. I don't.
Hey, Daniel. How was school today?
Okay.
You seem kind of down. Anything wrong?
Nah, it's okay.
How about some chocolate milk?
Okay. Mom,
Yes, Daniel?
is it ever okay to get into a fight?
Sounds like you had a rough day.
Communicating with our kids is not always easy. We want to find the right words to ease their pain or solve their problems. But if we could make their problems go away, would we really be doing them a favor? After all, life is full of problems, and a large part of success in the 21st century is about learning how to solve those problems, either on our own or by working cooperatively with others. It's funny, in a way, that often it's the problems in life that motivate us to learn and grow stronger. Well, potentially stronger. You see, the difference between successful and unsuccessful families is not the presence or absence of problems. Every family has problems. Successful families, like successful people, learn from their problems and find solutions while others get bogged down in their problems, often making them worse.
Okay, I'm sorry that this is not finishing out. But when we talk about this, we talk about the fact that, cooperation is where two or more people working together is a mutual supportive manner for a common goal, right? And dictators demand cooperation. Doormats hope for cooperation, but active parents teach cooperation. We have to teach our children how to work with each other and how to uh, uh, cooperate with us. Unfortunately, so successful families handle their problems and learn from them. Unsuccessful families make their problems worse and don't learn how to improve. Because if you don't um, handle the situation and talk about it, then it can't get better, right? So we have to use those problem solving skills. We have to use communication skills. We have to work on teamwork, creativity, empathy, responsibility, courage. And courage is something that we need to really build in our kids. The courage to tell the truth, the courage to be able to understand what's going on, and other positive character traits that, are necessary. So, the problem handling model, and we're going to talk about that. Who owns the problem, the parent or the child? And this is always very difficult because sometimes we as parents take on all problems when there are times when the child should take care of the problem. And we'll talk about those. Okay. I'm sorry if you just give me a moment and I will work on getting this video up.
This problem belongs to Daniel because he is the one who is being affected by it. However, if his safety is at risk or if he breaks a family rule by fighting, then it becomes a shared problem with his mom. Now let's try another example.
Okay, so in the previous video, Daniel was talking about fighting and everything, and his mother told him, that it's not all right to fight, and she allowed him because it was a boy on the bus to try and solve his own problem because it is his problem. He's there, he knows what's going on, and he has to try. Now, if this problem becomes violent or anything, because we know how it is in school today, the bullying and things like that, then that's when we have to step in. So here's another problem.
Joey, you left your bike in the driveway again. Now I'm sick and tired of having to move it out of my way.
Who owns this problem? Jeffrey, Jordan, or is it shared?
Okay, so what do you think? Who owns this problem? You can just shout it out. What you think? Do you think the father owns it or the son owns it?
The father?
The daddy, the
Yeah,
father.
right. Because he's the one that wants some results, right? So it is his problem. So let's see how this is.
This is Jeffrey's problem because Jordan's habit of leaving his bike in the driveway is blocking Jeffrey's goal of parking his car in the garage. Jeffrey will want to use effective discipline to help his son learn to take care of his possessions and be more considerate of other people. We will see more about that in another session. Let's watch our third example.
Saturday, that might work, but remember, Izzy has a soccer game in the morning. Are you and Ty planning
Mom,
to...
I can't get the colors right on this. Can you help me?
Not now, hun. I'm talking to your stepmom. Where was I? Oh, the soccer game.
But Mom, I can't do it.
In a minute, Isabel.
Fine.
I'm sorry, Cindy. It feels like every time I get on the phone, Isabel needs something. Now, about the game. How about we meet at the soccer game, and then Izzy can go home with you afterwards?
Mom, your minute's up.
Whose problem is this? Mom's? Isabel's? Or is it a shared problem?
Okay, so when you think about this, whose problem do you think it is?
Shared problem?
The parents? Okay. Now,
Shared.
could this be a shared problem too?
Yes.
Because each person wants something done, right? The parent wants something, she wants to finish her conversation, and the child needs something. So this is a shared problem, and we'll see how in a later thing how you solve this. Because how many times has this happened to us? I mean, this was a real problem. Sometimes it's still a problem in my home, so we have to learn how to deal with it. Okay, let's continue.
This is a trick question because there are actually two problems here. Isabel owns the problem of fixing her picture, and Mom owns the problem of her daughter interrupting her phone conversation. In future sessions, we'll revisit some of the problems we've just seen and talk about what happens once we know who owns the problem. But for now, get some more practice with the important concept by figuring out who owns the problems in your family.
Okay, so who owns the problem? Who is the problem behavior directly affecting? So in one, it was the father who wanted the bike out. In another one, it was the safety. Does the problem involve health, safety, or family values? Okay. Is the problem one that you can reasonably expect your child to solve? So if we think that they can solve the problem of fighting and stuff like that, but if it goes beyond that, so that there's a health or safety or even family values, then we have to step in. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. We've continued. I'm sorry that I have to go through all this. So let's look at how and what should happen. Here's the model, the problem handling model. So, with who owns the problem, if it's the parent, we have to provide discipline. If it's the child, we have to provide the support, sitting down, talking to them, and helping them. We need to avoid communication blocks because sometimes when we sit down with our children and we ask questions or we talk to them about a problem, we use words and we do things that block their communication with us. But we want to let the child handle, but offer support using active communication. The road to cooperation is paved with good communication, and we have to really use our communication skills. So let's talk about communication here.
Cooperation. Two or more people working together in a mutually supportive manner for a common goal. The concept is so important to success in a democratic society that with it, we thrive, and without it, we are lucky to even survive. All parents want a cooperative relationship with their children. Dictator parents demand cooperation. Doormat parents hope for it. But active parents go out and win it. And they win it with good communication skills. One of the truest things ever said about communication is that you cannot not communicate, because communication is more than just the words we say. It's also what we do. In fact, there are 3 primary channels of communication that carry our messages to our children, and theirs to us: words, tone of voice, and nonverbal cues such as facial expressions and body language. When all 3 of these channels are delivering the same message, the communication is clear and powerful. However, when words say one thing, but tone or nonverbal cues say another, we get what is called a mixed message, and that can be pretty confusing.
I made some nice warm chocolate chip cookies. Anybody want some?
Oh no, Andrea, I'm on a diet.
How about you, Sophia?
Honey, these are wonderful.
No thanks, Mom. I'm still full from dinner.
How about you, Lucas? Don't you want a cookie?
Yeah, thanks.
Obviously, in real life, mixed messages are more subtle, and it takes much more sensitivity to determine what is really going on. Remember our example of doormat-style parenting from session 1, when Nicole was trying to get her daughter, Kayla, to clean up the living room. Let's see how Kayla might have interpreted her mother's communication, at least unconsciously.
Kayla, honey, this room is pretty messy. Don't you think you ought to clean it up?
In a minute, Mom. Just as soon as the show's over.
Okay, but don't forget. It's been 45 minutes. Isn't your show over yet?
Oh, yeah. Well, this other show that I really like a lot came on. It'll be over in a few minutes, okay? Well, Mom's words seemed to say that she wanted me to stop what I was doing and clean up the room. But her voice and body language said it was no big deal and that I probably wouldn't get in trouble if I didn't. So let me ask you, would you have stopped watching one of your favorite shows to clean up the room? I don't think so.
You can see how a mixed message weakened Mom's communication. We'll talk more about the importance of clear communication with discipline in session 3. But now let's look at an example of how kids often send mixed messages as well. This is that scene when Daniel came in from school. See if you can identify what is mixed about his message.
Hey, Daniel. How was school today?
Okay.
You seem kind of down. Anything wrong?
Nah, it's okay.
Daniel's words said everything was okay with him, but that sad tone of voice and the way he was hanging his head told me otherwise. I knew something was wrong.
By tuning into Daniel's tone of voice and body language, his mother's able to see what his words didn't tell her. She is aware that her son has a problem and that he could use some support. The late psychologist Chaim Gunot used to say that kids speak in code. This means that when a child communicates, an active parent must learn to read all 3 channels to get the complete message before deciding what to do.
Okay, so we know how that is, right? It happens a lot of times with our children, and we kind of understand the fact that they're not telling us. Like, how was school today? Okay. So, what do we have to do to really sit down and talk to them? What do you think is a good way to really sit down, and talk to your child about what's happening with them? Because if you really want to know, like when we ask our kid how is things at school, are we sitting down? Are we pulling up our chair next to them and looking them in the eye, and having them sit down too? Because if you really want to understand, just like you want somebody to talk to you, you want their attention. So the best way is that let them sit at the table, you sit at the table, and then you sit down and talk to them. And you ask open questions. Like, what did you do at school today? Things like that. Because if you just say, how was things at school today, right? That's just a yes or no question, kind of. All right. Uh, you know. So you really want to ask other open-ended questions. That's a way to talk to kids about things. It's also called motivational interviewing, which therapists use and other people use in order to get kids to open up and talk to them. Okay? All right. Let's go back. Does everybody kind of understand that? Or anybody have any way of how they talk to their kids and find out what's really going on? Anyone?
Hi, it's Carla. I had put in the chat that there's often distractions too.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're distracted with text messages coming through or emails or our phone, and they're distracted too with their devices. And so
Yeah.
it's you have to clear out all those distractions, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
understand too, it's a good time for you to talk. It might not be a good time for them, or there has to be
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
evening's definitely a no-no because everybody's tired.
Yeah.
Everybody's
Well,
tired,
I
they're
mean,
hangry.
I mean, you can talk during the evening, but like you said, you have to read the room, see how
Yes.
people are. And, my mother always used the whole thing of sitting and talking to us at dinner time, oh, how is things, blah, 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 blah. And we didn't always, say everything because what our brothers and sisters are at the table. Our father was at the table, and sometimes you don't want everybody to know what's really going on. So you have to really sit down and wait. And there is a formula that for each kid you have, you need to spend 20 minutes with that child. Just them. So if you got 4 kids, that's 20 minutes with each kid, you know, and that can be a long time. 80 minutes out of your evening when you only have a couple of hours, can be a long time. But it's very important that you give each child that one-on-one. So they
Okay.
need that one-on-one with the parents, and they need the with the father, and one-on-one with the mother.
Okay.
Somebody wanted to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, Betty said that she asked, who do you eat lunch with today? Who did you eat
Mm-hmm.
lunch with? Um, did you have some interesting happening today? Anything happening interesting today?
Okay. So that did you have something interesting happen to you today? Turn that into an open question, because the one that you say there, they can say yes or no. So say, what interesting thing happened to you today? See, that turns it open, and what they have to say something. They have to use their words in order to talk about. But that's very good, Betty, because that's the things that you want to know. So you want to ask some specific things. But whatever you ask it so it's open ended. Okay? Anybody else? Okay. All right. Let's start
I
again.
just wanted to add that I try sitting down with my son and asking an open-ended question.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, nothing. I like, did anything interesting? What interesting happened to you today? And he's nothing.
Okay.
Or, yeah,
So
whatever I ask him, he doesn't want to talk about it.
okay, but if you give up, he knows you're going to do it. See, kids are like this. They know us. They watch us 24 hours a day. They know what makes us tick, what gets us upset, what makes us react. They know all that stuff. They're very smart. They know more about us than we know about them. So when you sit them down with like something to drink or a cookie, or and talk to them. Really talk to them. Just don't ask them those questions. Ask them, say, listen, I know you were on the computer. What kind of game are you playing? Tell me about it a little bit. So you have to get them engaged, you
Yeah,
know.
you raise an interesting point because I think in the video she goes to talk to him because there's a problem. Something has occurred that's upsetting to him, which I think I find is a challenge sometimes is when we have these sit downs with my son, it's usually around a challenge, right? So I think it becomes
Hmm.
this kind of a culture in the family that okay, if we're shutting the TV off and we're sitting down, it's
It's
about something.
serious.
It's serious, and it's usually something that may be perceived as negative.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things that I try to do is set time that's it's just we talk about all kinds of different things. So
Hmm.
TV off and sitting together doesn't necessarily mean a negative.
Right. And that's why it's good to have a family meeting. You can call a family meeting at any time, right? So a family meeting can be stress free. It's just about talking about different things. But you're absolutely right. I used to know that when my parents called me Patty, I was in trouble. That's the word that they use, Patty. I'm like, okay, let me get my guards up. But when they said, "Hey Pat," blah blah blah, I was like a little more relaxed. So we have to realize that our kids kind of know things. One of the things is that I was a yeller, you know. I yelled about everything. So somebody told me, said, "You can get more out of your kids if you stop yelling." And I was like, "But, that's what I was used to doing." So I would come in and I would say, "What's going on?" In a low voice and stuff like that. They almost couldn't hear me. And everybody stopped in their tracks because they weren't used to me talking in a soft voice. And then they were like, "Okay, what's going on now?" I think I scared them more when I talked in a low voice than I did when I was screaming because they were used to that. So I started talking to them in a lower voice, asking them, how their day was, what they were doing, and things like that. And then I got to the meat of the problem. And I let them know too, listen, one of the problems that I have is that we're not able to communicate with each other. And I really want to talk to you. I really want to know what's going on. And that's when we start really communicating and talking. Having the family meetings can open up another area for you where you can really talk to your kids and get to know what's going on. And the reason that's good is because why? Why do you think that that's good to open up and to talk to each other? Can anybody think why that's good?
Yeah, well, especially in this day and age when kids are exposed to so much more, like we want them if they're in trouble or if somebody threatens them or tries to blackmail them on internet or whatever it is,
Yeah, yeah,
we want them to be able to come to us and
yes,
talk to us about it and know we're a safe place.
yeah. And if I yell about everything, right? Who's gonna wanna talk to you and be, and have that confidence that you're gonna sit down and really understand and work with them. You know, our job is to make our kids feel safe. And so we have to be understanding. We were kids. We didn't do everything right, you know, and there's a good way to talk to kids that makes them understand that they're learning and it's all right and everything that happens is not going to be an argument or a power struggle. One of the things that I realized is that they were going to get older and I was going to want them to confide in me about sex, drugs, violence, and if I didn't establish a good bond and communication style when they were younger, it wasn't going to happen when they were older. So I don't know how many of you had a good um, communication with your parents, and just think about why. Why did you have good communication with your parents? And if you didn't, why didn't you? And try doing the opposite. Okay. Because in this day and age, when kids start talking about drugs and sex and violence and things that are going on, bullying and things like that, we need them to be able to communicate with us. Okay? All right. Let's start the video again and see where we are.
While you do that, I want to read you a message that Betty put. She says,
Sure.
very, very true. And we want to have a good relationship with us as adults one day.
Yes.
social media assist, Carla.
Yes, yes. Um, and it's funny is that as much as my kids and I talked, they're adults now, right? I'm finding out a lot of stuff that I miss. So there's going to be stuff that you miss, but you want to get as much as you can because you want your kids to talk to you and open up. So, channels of communication. The road to cooperation is paved with good communication. And listen, I want to thank you all for responding and talking up and giving your information and everything because it's very important and I do appreciate it. All right, the three channels are words, the words that you use, your tone of voice. And when I say words, you don't want to call your kids stupid or lazy and things like that. You want to use words that make them feel confident in themselves. Your tone of voice, like I said, it shouldn't be yelling. You can be firm, but you don't have to yell. And then nonverbal clues like body language and facial expression. If you look mad, do you think your kids are going to tell you something? And also, you don't want to be laughing and joking because that's not the serious matter that you want to have with your children. All right, let's talk about these communication blocks too. Okay. I think these videos are getting old, and I'm probably going to have to get new ones. Oh boy. Mm.
If we are going to win cooperation from our children by using our communication skills, then we must first learn to avoid saying and doing things that block communication. We all want to be askable parents, the kind of parents children come to when they are faced with a difficult problem. But too often, and without even meaning to, we respond to our children in ways that discourage them from asking. We call these obstacles communication blocks. For example, we have been known to issue commands to our children, judge them, placate them, interrogate them, distract, psychologize, or moralize to them. We may be sarcastic or act like a know-it-all. The result is that children learn over time to avoid talking to us about their problems. Let's take a tongue-in-cheek look at how Jordan's parents might use all of these blocks in one conversation.
I don't believe it.
You don't believe what?
Miss Powell, I was sitting there minding my own business while Kristen and Cody were passing notes back and forth. Then Miss Powell turns around and sees me passing this note to Kristen, only it wasn't from me, it was from Cody. But Miss Powell thought it was from me and gave me extra homework because I apparently have too much time on my hands. It isn't fair.
Well, son, what you need to do is march right up to Miss Powell and tell her what really happened.
No, I can't do that. The kids will call me a tattletale.
Well, Jordan, you can't go through life worrying what others will think about you.
You don't understand. I have to spend every day with these kids.
Oh, honey, you're so smart and so much fun. I don't think they'd stop liking you.
You don't understand. They hate tattletales at my school. I won't have any friends.
Well, why were you passing notes in the first place? Why would you put yourself in the middle that way?
I was just trying to do them a favor.
I tell you what I think. I think you like Kristen, and we're using this situation to flirt with her.
Mama don't even like girls, not like that.
Well, son, someday you will. Did I ever tell you about the first time me and your mama went out?
Yeah, about a dozen times.
Don't be disrespectful to your father, young man. He was only trying to help. After all, we've lived longer, and we know more about these things.
Okay, whatever.
Now that's the wrong attitude to take. How do you ever expect to improve yourself when you think like that?
Oh, come on, that's not fair.
Oh, and life's supposed to be so fair. I am so glad he felt free to come to us with his little problem.
Yeah, I don't know why he doesn't ask more often.
Okay. So sometimes we really do things that stop our kids from talking to us. They don't want to hear the lecturing that we give them. So just asking clear, open-ended questions, and also, saying how they feel. Oh, you sound real angry, or it seems like you feel sad about this. That also helps because that means that we're listening to them and we kind of understand what they're going through.